Hey folks, Scott here. Really quickly, just wanted to say that the next 2 episodes of this podcast are going to be focused around David Icke, the guy who popularized the idea that lizard people are taking over the world and the governments and all sorts of stuff like that. And unfortunately, with that topic comes a lot of discussions of anti-Semitism. So if that is not something you're in the mood to listen to right now, totally understand. We've got a lot of other episodes in our back catalog if you want to check those out. Just wanted to give you a quick heads up as we head into the episode. Go ahead, Tristan. You can ask me. You can ask me what it's like. You know, everyone's wondering. I get it. You're a little starstruck because I did have a viral tweet the other day.
Oh, wow. Congratulations.
Yeah. I'm sure you've seen it. Made all sorts of headlines, and everyone's wanting to know what I'm gonna do next. You know. I just tweeted about my good boy Scooby-Doo, and then it got too many likes. It got shared around like wildfire. So, but I'm here to say I'm still the same Scott that I'm still your bud. I'm still here. I'm just a regular little podcast person, and nothing's gonna change. You know, nothing's gonna change from the way that I am.
So this is a tweet about Scooby-Doo.
Did you miss the tweet?
Yes.
This was my big break and you missed it, is what you're saying?
Yeah, I was, I have a baby. I don't go on Twitter very much anymore.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I tweeted a quote from the first live action Scooby-Doo movie where it's Daphne's like, I need a clue. And the person that she's asking it to, who I believe is just credited as Voodoo Man, says, here's a clue. Purple's a fall color. It's the middle of May. And since it was the middle of May when I tweeted it, I was like, this is a day when you can tweet this. And people ate it up, including writer of the film himself, James Gunn, who retweeted it and shared it across all social medias and tagged me and everything, which I thought was very nice of him to do.
Wait. James Gunn, like Eight-Legged Freaks, Slither,
Guardians of the Galaxy, The Suicide Squad. Yeah.
The guy who was known for making like the most like gross out body horror. Like he's like, he did a Scooby-Doo.
He did both of the Scooby-Doos and was gonna do a third. This feels like we're off the track here because I'm talking about me being a celebrity, and I feel like you are still lost in the fact that James Gunn wrote the live action Scooby-Doo movies.
Listen, it's already taken me like almost how long has it been since Guardians of the Galaxy came out? Like almost a decade now.
Yeah.
I still see him as the guy who made Slither.
Okay.
A movie from 2006, I want to say, that I feel like I might be the only person who remembers.
Okay, well, the Scooby-Doo movies came out in 2002 and 2004, so what's your excuse there for not knowing his seminal work in those films? He only wrote them. He didn't direct them. So maybe that's it. Maybe that's part of it.
It's also that this might actually be a pivotal moment in the future of our friendship. I'm not like a huge Scooby-Doo guy.
Oh, no.
I watched the 60s cartoon as a kid a little bit when it was on, but that's
unbelievable. I'm heartbroken by this conversation. I don't know if I want to record the rest of this episode.
What if I can, like, you know, door in the face technique, or door in the foot in the door technique?
Okay.
That you are shocked by how horrible I am for not liking Scooby-Doo past the, you know, being of the target audience age.
Okay.
But I introduce you to someone who's way worse.
You introduced me to someone who could be worse than a person who doesn't like Scooby-Doo. I couldn't imagine such a person, Tristan.
I can imagine that this guy maybe doesn't like Scooby-Doo either.
Yeah?
Oh, I don't know if you know this, but I accidentally started recording.
Oh, well, I'm always recording on my end. So do you want to turn this into a podcast?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool. Hey, everyone. This is another episode of It's Probably Not Aliens.
Yeah.
This is a podcast where we debunk a lot of ancient astronaut theories and along the way learn about real-world history of people and places and culture creatures. And today I think we have a very particularly scummy person to talk about who we teased in the past. But before that, my name is Scott. I know nothing except for my love of Scooby-Doo.
Yes, and my name's Tristan. I am the one who knows about all but movie trivia, as we've learned.
Yeah, this continues that trend, doesn't it?
Yes, actually, I do have one Scooby-Doo story, which was that I asked a guy who played Shaggy at Universal Studios whether or not Scooby Snacks was weed, or if he is eating dog treats.
Oh, okay. And the response?
The response is that, like, you know, dogs eat cheese, which is a human food, and so Scooby Snacks are actually like not dog treats; they're for people, and
they're
that
for people,
the dog is named
have.
after the treats because he liked them so much.
See, this plays with Scooby canon, and we can't get into it. All right, we can't. I can't turn this into another whole Anunnaki episode where I'm talking about Scooby-Doo for a long period of time.
This is actually a good connection because this is a direct through line, from the Anunnaki episode from 10 years ago, I think, when we started this episode.
Yeah, it's been a while since we recorded. See, I told you to trust me and we'd get to the topic of this episode. We just have to take the lane through Scooby-Doo Boulevard real quick to finally get to the actual thing we're talking about.
So, I mean, you guys have probably seen the title of this episode so far, but the name we're dancing around is, and I mentioned this in the Anunnaki episode, a guy by the name of David Icke.
David Icke, whose name is almost spelled like David Icke.
Yeah, so David Icke.
That feels fitting.
Who is a little icky.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to do another one of our profiles, sort of where we're already kind of doing the Dollop theme, which then was, borrowed by every podcast ever. Mm-hmm. And then the sub one, which is Behind the Bastards, the podcast that I listen to fairly religiously. And so this is my ripping off of Behind the Bastards to do a Behind the Bastards, but specifically about ancient aliens people.
Let's do it. Everyone really liked the episodes that we did about Eric von Daniken, and people were screaming out for more of them. So we've got potentially another two-parter about another scumbag from the ancient aliens world, David Icke. And unlike Eric von Daniken, I actually know very, very little about this person. So I'm excited to learn, who was this guy? Why is he a big deal? What's his connection to this space that we're in, talking about aliens and history?
Okay, so here's what I'm going to tell you. I don't know if he is icky, or just nuts. That's sort of the question mark that will line over this thing. But this is also probably just a thing that comes from this is like a personal vendetta going through, because David Icke, as we'll probably get to near the end, has had a personal negative effect on my life, and specifically like people who I know. And furthermore, when I was first starting on YouTube all the way back in like 2007, that there was a rash of conspiracy videos of people putting badly compressed video footage up on YouTube and saying, look, that's a shape-shifting reptile. And David Icke is basically the guy who has popularized the whole thing about the world being controlled by shape-shifting reptiles from space.
Oh no. Well, all right. Let's get into it, because I feel like we've got a lot of ground to cover.
Mm-hmm. So the first bit that we have to talk about is going to be, I have a feeling that this is the highest chance that I'm going to make a mistake, because it has to do with a segment of entertainment that you and I are both extremely well versed in, and that is sports.
Scooby-Doo. Oh, so yes. Sports.
Now, David Icke, if you are a British person, so there probably are some Brits listening to this podcast who are like, I know who David Icke is. He's kind of known in the UK more than he is here. But I'm going to tell you a little bit about him. David Icke was born in Leicester, and I know that the correct pronunciation of Leicester is whichever way you said it is wrong.
It's just like
true. It's just like Louisville, Kentucky. The proper way to pronounce it is that however you pronounced it is wrong.
Yeah, it's the old bop it extreme. Try it again, but better.
But yeah, David Icke, his career starts with a little bit of football.
Oh, that was good. hey, whoa, I feel like I'm in jolly old London right now.
Yeah, he's a little bit of a footballer, which in our countries is called soccer.
That's okay. I'm willing to concede. Football, we get it.
Yeah,
we know what it is. Ted Lasso, we've seen it.
Yeah, so he was a goalie in football. So here's basically a story about David Icke. He grew up in a pretty poor place, and in his biography, he wrote about having regularly being in fear because like landlords would come by his like family's apartment to shake them down for rent money and stuff like that. So he might have developed, if you really want to psychoanalyze him, he might have developed some sort of paranoid fear of people in authority that comes from that experience. Because you can imagine your family, your parents being shaken down by the landlord when you're a kid for rent could be a traumatizing experience.
I mean, like you and I would probably say today that landlords are parasites, but I think he would take that idea and be like, no, they're like literal, like they're like monsters. They're like actual, like parasitic creatures. Am I far off there? Is that
kind of? Yeah. I mean, instead, they just don't do any work and make lots of money. We're gonna get the one landlord listener to the show being like, I how dare you? If you're a landlord listening to this,
stop.
Maybe, stop charging money for people having the right to live in a space. Anyways, that we're getting far out. Okay, so David Icke, football.
David Icke, football.
So apparently David Icke was never super good in school. He never really tried that hard. He never really did that great. But from the age of 9, it became pretty apparent that he was very good at the football.
Okay.
So in junior school, he got picked up for the third-year football team at the age of 9. And reportedly, this was a huge deal. It was the first time he had ever succeeded at anything. And in a lot of cases, and this happens to a lot of people who grew up in poverty, sport, specifically like being good enough at sport to be professional, is seen as a way out of poverty.
Sure.
He was a goalie. I think that may be a hockey term. He played goal.
Okay.
Which worked well for him because he was a bit of a loner, did not have much of like a team player vibe. So he got to just hang out at the back and keep balls from getting into big net.
He didn't like playing by the rules, so he did the only position in soccer where you get to use your hands.
Yep. And apparently he said that being goalie gave him a sense of, quote, living on the edge between hero and villain. Take however, whatever you mean by that. I don't know. I'm not a football watcher.
I get it. So my girlfriend's dad and brother are both lacrosse coaches. And I think her dad was a goalie. And I totally get it. I watch a lot of lacrosse now because of them and their family. And if you save goals, you are like praised as a hero. If you let anything by you, everyone's going to be like, unbelievable, this guy. Unbelievable. You're the reason this team's losing right now is because of you. Because it's just a very clear line between like, if a team is doing good or bad, it's easiest to, I think, blame the goalie on that.
2 fun pieces of trivia. Lacrosse, developed by Indigenous people. And 2 is the actual official sport of Canada.
Oh, that's amazing.
Not hockey. So I don't know if you know this about the UK, but they also have a lot of standardized tests in their education system. And he failed his 11 plus exam in 1963 and ended up going to to Crown Hills Secondary Modern rather than a grammar school, which I guess is like a fancier school. I don't know. I'm not British, so I don't know the politics of which schools you get into. This is all going to be based on reading Harry Potter when I was in middle school. So
yeah, I know nothing about schools in other places. Everything's so different.
It's true. But he did get put on trial for the Leicester boys under 14s football team, and apparently was so good that he dropped out of school at the age of 15 because he had been talent spotted by Coventry City, and they signed him up in 1967 to be part of the goalkeeper on their youth team. So like very, very good at sports.
That's the term for it, right? Goalkeeper, not goalie. That's got to be
probably
it, right?
Goalie feels like the unofficial term.
But yeah, he was. You're saying he was very, very good at the sport.
And in the 1968 season, he was the goalkeeper for Coventry City, and was this was the year that they were actually runners-up to Burnley in the FA Youth Club. I am just reading text copied from websites because
we don't know what any of this means.
There's a podcast pitch where the two of us who know nothing about sports get sports stories, like news stories, and we have to decipher what is going. Like, when you read like an article, it's like from the sports section, and it's like all inside jargon that you have to kind of know what's going on to understand.
Yeah,
we read that and try to read the bones to find out what happens.
Man, I don't know what anytime I watch any sport, like even the amount of lacrosse I've watched, there are calls that are made where I'm like, I don't know why the game stopped suddenly, and I don't know what's happening, and why did the whistle blow? I don't know. It's like trying to decipher a code, trying to like figure out how these rules work without like a manual or anything. I'm just like, I don't know. This doesn't make sense to me.
Or like when you're watching sports on television and they have all of the like the kind of like info at the side for quick reference, and I'm like, I don't know what any of these are.
There's too many numbers. Can we simplify it? Can we do a 5E, a fifth edition of football so the math is simplified?
Yeah, it's just at the bottom. It just says the team that is winning.
Yeah, I don't need any other information. Thank you.
Yeah. So he did that. He also played for Oxford United's reserve team and Northampton Town, apparently on loan from Coventry. So very, very promising footballer who was probably like pretty well, like not even like good at sports, like in line to become a professional footballer.
Yeah.
It's like someone who probably could have been playing on like a FIFA team if things hadn't gone south because...
Oh no, what happened?
David Icke, unfortunately in his early 20s, started developing rheumatoid arthritis, which is basically an autoimmune disease where your joints get inflamed. And he started suffering a lot of pain in his knee, in one knee and then the other, and in his ankles, and eventually in his elbows, wrists, and hands. Now, I don't know if you know about football, but one thing I do know is that you need all of those joints to play those sports.
Yeah, you do need to move a little bit to do sports, I'm pretty sure. So this sounds like it probably wasn't great for his career.
No. Eventually it stopped him from making a career out of it, but he did still try. Reportedly that during training, he was basically in agony. And
I can imagine.
He tried to keep making money by playing part-time for Hereford United. And in doing so, he was just like constantly in pain. And at some point he did have to, in 1973, at the age of 21, he was forced to retire. This apparently upset his father, who was very disappointed in him for getting arthritis.
Yeah, that's not really something you can control, right?
No, but this feels like peak like villain origin story material here.
Oh yeah,
like I was on path to be. This is your D&D character in a bit of a way.
Oh my God, you're right. My D&D character, Coach Tucker,
because he was on to become a footballer, and then he got injured.
Then he got injured, and his dad was disappointed in him, or at least he thought he was. There was a big twist at the end.
And then you go to war to close portals to another dimension, which just actually plays
like David Icke did, closing portals to other dimensions.
Interesting. Okay.
Interesting.
There's more parallels than I thought.
Yeah. If this is all references to a D&D podcast I was on a while ago. One of my characters apparently has a lot of similarities to David Icke, and I had no idea. I promise I did not base my character off of David Icke. It was a coincidence that my character's name was Coach Icke, Coach David Icke.
Coach David Icke, playing a lizard folk fighter.
That would be funny though. Yeah, so this is the villain origin story. This is someone who could have done something totally different, and now will slowly, I imagine, will morph into the person who started the entire like widespread conspiracy about like lizard people. Is that what you're saying? That's the conspiracy he's known for, right?
Well, he popularized that Russian guy from the previous one, but yeah, basically he is known for he is like the face of the reptilian conspiracy crowd.
Yeah, I feel like we definitely need to get into more detail about that conspiracy, because I don't even know what that conspiracy is other than just like lizard people might be a thing in power. So
we will get there. Okay. David Icke has like a whole cinematic universe of beliefs, but But yeah, this retiring from football, you could imagine, was pretty rough for someone who had no other education, dropping out of school. But also, you can imagine that being a professional footballer probably pays pretty well. And having to retire, him and his wife had to sell their homes. For several weeks, they actually had to move back to their parents' house and they lived apart. But David Icke did find another place to land. And, this is actually pretty legit. He became a sports journalist.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And he was apparently really good at it. In 1973, he got a job as a reporter for the Weekly Leicester Advertiser. He had a contact who was a sports editor at the Daily Mail, which is a very big British newspaper.
Okay.
And he became a sports reporter. In 1982, he ended up moving to the Isle of Wight, and he ended up getting all the way up to the BBC, and he worked for BBC Sport. And for a while in the 1970s, he was a household name. David Icke was like one of the big sports journalists in the UK.
Oh, wow. Yeah. This is I'm like waiting for the shoe to drop almost a little bit, because this everything you've told me so far just sounds like a fairly normal life, and in fact a little bit more than normal, where it's a pretty, I don't want to say extraordinary, but it's just like it's a very fortunate life to like build up that much in your career, to like be an athlete, then be like a household name as a reporter. Like, this sounds pretty nice, and I'm waiting for that shoe to drop.
Well, he went into politics.
Okay.
So this is another side thing. This is where you start to see a little bit of what's going on. So when he developed arthritis, he was desperately trying to find anything to sort of cure it so that he could get back into football. This got him into alternative medicine and the New Age movement in the 80s, as he tried to kind of work on things that could sate the sort of pain that he was going through.
Gotcha. I can start to see where things might seep in from that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And he got really into it. He became a hardcore environmentalist, and he even became a spokesman for the Green Party in the UK for quite a while. And so, he had like a little bit of a career as sort of like the spokesman for this party, which is like, it's a legit British political party.
Yeah.
But then, according to David Icke, in this period, he also started to, quote, feel a presence. And started seeing a psychic. And through these psychic readings, he learned that he was the avatar of a spirit and received instructions that he was going to change the world. He received several predictions, prophecies of the future, that we would invent a flying machine that would make near instantaneous travel happen, and that the Earth's core would destabilize, causing earthquakes around the world. Things that have all famously happened.
Yeah. I mean, that's why, even though you live in Canada and I live in America, we do record this podcast in person every week, because we can travel instantaneously between our two locations.
Yes.
Yeah. We're familiar with that technology.
We live in what's it called? And the Earth is being destroyed by destabilizing earthquakes, because we live in the fifth season. No, we don't. The fifth season is one of the most grimmest, darkest worlds, and I never want to be close to it. I'm finishing that book series right now. Possibly the darkest fantasy series I have ever read in my life. Holy crap. Really good, but just horribly depressing.
It's really dark.
And apparently he, during his spiritual journey, he eventually went to Peru, which I think might be the most abused country by ancient aliens people.
Yeah, come on. Leave Peru alone.
And according to Icke, he had a spiritual awakening there, and also in this period where he was having all these spiritual revelations, he also wore nothing but turquoise, to the point where he refers to it as his turquoise period.
Was there a specific reason why?
I don't know. Nothing that I could dig up, but now we're picking up where he's starting to have interests.
Yeah, I would say so. He's starting to get really into this sort of stuff.
Yes. So this is when he learned that he has, quote unquote, an infinite mind, and that he is the son of God.
Oh, he learned that.
Yeah. And then also this was around the time that he entered into a triad relationship between his wife and his psychic.
Okay. As long as everyone was okay with that.
Both women changed their name when they got married to him, or both women changed their name. And his wife, only his wife married him, obviously. His psychic did not marry him. They just were a throuple.
Yeah.
But his wife changed her name to Michaela because she thought herself to be an aspect of the Archangel Michael.
Okay. So it feels like everyone, it's not just him, right? It's not just David. Everyone in the throuple is sort of, they're dipping into this all together. I mean, it's no surprise that the psychic is, you know?
Yeah.
Like, of course the psychic would be.
Yeah. And the psychic, whose name is Deborah Shaw, left him about a year later, but not before having a daughter with him, who David Icke has reportedly only ever seen once.
Oh, no.
But here's the thing, is that his life would severely change in the 1990s. Because he left the Green Party, and shortly after, on television, in an interview, on BBC Radio 1, declared that he was the Son of God. And this is one of the most, this is actually one of the more like viral moments in like British television history, was when like famous sports reporter David Icke announces that he's the Son of God on live television.
Oh no, David! What are you doing? Oh, that feels like it would be quite an event, huh?
Yeah, he also declared that the world was going to end in 1997, and that it would be preceded by hurricanes, volcanic eruptions in Cuba, China falling apart, hurricanes in Derry, and an earthquake on the Isle of Iran. And that the way that he got this was through hearing voices, and what he does a lot, which is automatic writing, which is where he doesn't think, just writes, and interprets that as like, you know, the Godhead speaking through him, basically. He also claimed that Los Angeles was going to become an island, that New Zealand would disappear, which if you look at a lot of maps, it already has. And that, you know, that by Christmas, the cliffs of Kent would be underwater. So he made a lot of very specific predictions tied to a specific year, which we've learned in like, you know, the history of prophecies. You want to be as vague as possible.
Yeah, you want to leave room for interpretation so that you're never technically wrong.
So this made headlines because, as I mentioned, he was quite a celebrity.
And he nailed it, right? All those things happened in 1997?
I don't think they did. I don't know. I'll have to check. I know that that I was only 9, so I wasn't really following the news that much, but I have a feeling that if the world ended, I don't know, I feel like they might have mentioned it. My parents might have talked about it. But then again, it was the 90s, and like, who remembers the 90s?
Who remembers the 90s? Certainly I don't. Nintendo 64 came out. That's the only thing I remember.
Was 1997 the year where, I do remember there was like the Christmas where Tickle Me Elmo and Nintendo 64 were like both extremely hot ticket items, and like it was like essentially like warfare to get your hands on one of these two things for that one Christmas?
I think that might have been the year before. Nintendo 64. No, wait. No. Yeah, it was 1996. But it was
1996. Okay.
Nintendo 64 did come out in Europe in 1997. So maybe that's what he was thinking of. He was like, once the Nintendo 64 comes out in our part of the world, that's how we know.
He had a prophecy that a golden eye would take the world by storm.
64-bit technology will destroy the Earth's core.
Well, they planned on that, but then the Rumble it was for the Rumble Pack.
That's what all the earthquakes were going to be about. It was the Rumble Pack that came with Star Fox 64. Yeah. We figured it out. We uncovered it.
Yeah. So when he was like kind of, you know, questioned about like, are you sure that you're David Icke, the Son of God? He said that, well, Jesus would have been laughed at too if when he said that he was the Son of God.
I mean, he's got you there.
Yeah. And so while he's being interviewed, people were laughing at him, and they were asking like, you know, how do you feel about this? And David Icke said that laughter is the best way to remove negativity. And then the interviewer replied, but they're laughing at you. They're not laughing with you. So the BBC was criticized for even allowing such an interview to happen on, like, you know, television, live television.
Yeah.
It was wild. Like, I've seen clips of this interview because it's like one of the wildest moments in British TV history. But yeah, it's intense. But apparently it led to quite a difficult period for David Icke because a lot of his, you know, standing as like a public figure might have been hurt by him declaring himself the Son of God.
A little bit, I would imagine.
He had stories of like crowds showing up at his house chanting, "We want the Messiah," or "Give us a sign, David. So he was being like trolled by teenagers in the 90s.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say these were genuine people who were like, yeah, we want the Messiah. Come on out, David.
I think they were
people
shit,
who were, yeah. Okay. All right.
But this is not the first time David Icke has had to completely reinvent himself. So he moved on from politician and journalist and started a new career in the world of conspiracy theories, New Age medicine, and anti-Semitism.
Would you say a more accurate thing rather than saying he moved on from journalism and politics? Would it be more accurate to say nobody really wanted him in those fields anymore?
He was not super duper welcome. So he went on from being a journalist to possibly the worst career choice anyone can ever make. He became a content creator.
Oh, no. What kind of content did he create?
Oh boy, he wrote a lot of books, and by
are
a lot of
good books?
No, they are not.
They are not good books.
So this interview basically killed any chance he'd have of a normal career. But he also apparently through the sort of public humiliation of it, more or less made him consider that he no longer cares what people think about him, and that's where his journey began. So between the years of 1992 and 1994. He wrote 5 books.
Okay. 5 books in 2 to 3 years? That's...
Yes. 4 of them he published in 1993.
Oh, okay. 4 in 1 year. Oh my... What is he doing? Just cranking them out.
But because he was a celebrity, they actually all got mainstream publications.
Of course they did. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's go through it. So 1992, he wrote a book called Love Changes Everything,
okay.
which was influenced by the work that he did with Deborah Shaw, the sort of channeling and automatic writing, which was based on theosophy. It was a study of the origin of the planet in which David Icke writes about Jesus. So theosophy is a specific religion that's from the 19th century, and it's sort of like a very like Victorian occultist type twist on Christianity.
All right.
Theosophists believe that there's an ancient brotherhood of spiritual adepts called the Masters who are centered in Tibet and taught a woman by the name of Helena Blavatsky all of these like secrets about the universe.
They taught one person?
This one person, and then she is the founder of the Theosophy movement.
Oh, okay.
So her sources for who these masters are trust me.
Trust me, bro.
Trust me, bro.
I learned straight from these masters. Not a drop of knowledge has left this old head of mine, and I will write it down for you, and I assume make a lot of money doing so.
And if you know anything about the late 19th century, there were a lot of flim-flam and scam artists around at the time, and there was a lot of interest in the occult and like in kind of spiritualism stuff. So she fits right into that whole thing.
There.
So she had the belief that these masters were attempting to revive knowledge of an ancient religion that was once around the world, and that at some point in the future it would eclipse all the other religions. Believes in something called the divine absolute, which basically sees the universe as all manifest reflections of this absolute. And so that the purpose of human life is to emancipate itself, and that the human soul undergoes emancipation upon bodily death using a grotesque misunderstanding of karma, which is sort of a Indian religion or a concept in various Indian based religions that does not process properly.
No, I learned about karma for the first time in the show Rugrats All Growed Up. Did you ever see the Rugrats?
No, I never. I'm a Rugrats purist. I keep them babies in my mind and my heart.
That's how it should be. But I did watch the All Growed Up show a little bit, and I think Dill was teaching Angelica about karma, and that's the only thing that I've internalized from that show is that karma is real and instantaneous. When you do something good, you're immediately rewarded, and when you do something bad, you're immediately punished.
Sounds accurate.
Yeah, that's why there's only good stuff in the world right now.
Hence why everything's fine. By the way, did you hear that we're getting like a turducken now of pandemics? Completely unrelated.
Completely unrelated.
So now we're getting monkeypox. So like, I guess like karma was just like, hey y'all, I heard you liked pandemic, so I put a pandemic in your pandemic so you can pandemic while you pandemic.
Well, the good news is, as long as I do good things, then I will never be sick a day in my life.
So in 1993, I've said he wrote 3 books in 1993. Those books were Day of Decision, which was a 86-page summary of his interviews after the big 1991 incident.
Okay. Just took the interviews, summed it up, wrote them down. Okay.
Yeah. Apparently, the book questions the historicity of Jesus, but accepts the existence of, quote, the Christ spirit.
Oh, wait, hold on. So is the book questions if Jesus was like a real historical figure, or if...
Yes.
Oh, okay. But
that the Christ spirit is real.
The Christ spirit is real. I feel, correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like that's the opposite of what a lot of scholars might... I mean, if you're a religious person, then, obviously whatever. But like, I thought there was pretty strong evidence that Jesus was at least a real person. Maybe I'm wrong.
Reasonable. Like,
okay.
It's still a question, but it is something that most people think, like, yeah, there probably was somebody who we could point to as like the origin of Christianity. So yeah.
Okay.
In the same year, he published his autobiography called The Light of Experience. Mm-hmm. And also then he wrote another book called Heal the World, a do-it-yourself guide to personal and planetary transformation.
Oh, it's that easy. We can all do it. It's take it on yourself. It's everyone do it. Heal the world. That's fun. What are the guides? Do we know? What's the step-by-step instruction?
Well, there's not a lot of detail in this book because like these are just like sort of generic new agey stuff to like, cash in, but still prolific content creator. I could not make content this fast.
Oh my goodness. No. Let alone how to heal the world. That's pretty, it's pretty big.
But what he's most famous for is his fourth book in that line of books, which is called The Robots' Rebellion. And this is where things start to get extraterrestrial.
Okay.
This is not where things get extraterrestrial, but the things get real weird. This is where he veers into conspiracy theories. So this is the first book where he starts to receive allegations that he might be anti-Semitic.
What?
So let me know what you think about this. So he claims that the world is being controlled by a shadowy cabal that has plans for world domination.
Okay.
That might be extraterrestrial, and the details on this shadowy cabal that run the world is detailed in a book called The Protocols of the Elders of Zion, which, if you know anything about that particular book, already the alarm bells should be just going off everywhere. Are you aware with the Protocols of the Elders of Zion?
I'm not actually, no.
Thank God. It is probably one of the most influential works of writing, and the world is way worse off for it existing in the world. So let's talk a little bit about it.
Great!
So it came out in 1897. It is a fabricated forgery of fictional text that's plagiarized from several sources that basically writes that Jewish people have a plan for global domination.
Oh.
It first came out in Russia in 1903, but got translated and disseminated across the world in the early 20th century. It's a huge hit. And also it popularized a belief that there was a Jewish conspiracy to take over an international Jewish conspiracy taking over the world. This work at a certain point ended up in the hands of German teachers. And it was taught like it was a factual text to German school children after the Nazis came to power in 1933.
Oh no.
Yeah, this is despite the fact that it had been exposed as fraudulent and a hoax and a lot of plagiarism by the Times, but in 1921, and the German Frankfurter Zeitung in 1924.
Like a decade. It's been exposed as fake for a decade, and they were still teaching it as if it was a factual text.
It gets more fun.
Great.
That book is,
tell me.
The book today is still widely available. You can find it in many places in print and on the internet. And it continues to be presented by neo-fascists as well as anti-Semitic and fundamentalist groups as a real document. This has been described as the most influential work of anti-Semitism ever written.
Not a great title to hold, huh?
No. So Icke, using the Protocols of the Elders of Zion in his book Robots' Rebellion, might might raise some red flags that maybe David Icke is, while referencing aliens and saying, no, it's not Jews, it's aliens, but the aliens are...
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say if David Icke specifically wanted to use this horribly anti-Semitic text, just wanted to incorporate it somewhere into his work, probably not a great sign for the man. Probably not good.
And it had been debunked 7 decades before the publishing of this book.
Yeah. Just figured, you know what? No one's talking about this as much as they should be anymore. Let's bring it back into the public. Yikes, my man.
Robots Rebellion refers repeatedly to the Protocols of the Elders of Zion. Calls them the Illuminati Protocols. Here we go, Illuminati.
Oh, no.
Is this the first time we've said Illuminati on this podcast?
I think it's the first time we've said the Illuminati. Is this the? I mean, I don't know too much. You know this. I start the show by saying I know nothing. Is this part of where the idea of the Illuminati came from, or is that just like a whole thing that's been around forever?
It's been around for a while. The Illuminati actually was a real life organization. It was sort of like a early modern period. It was very short existence. It was an early modern period group of like what I could only imagine today would be like the equivalent of Twitch debate bros. They were people who were like, we're really smart and religion is dumb, and we're really smart for not believing in religion. So we're going to start an organization that is about like Illuminati was like, we are the illuminated ones. We're enlightened.
Oh, I see.
Maybe we should do an Illuminati episode. That would be fun.
Let us know. Let us know on Twitter at probsnotaliens. Gotta be plugging. All right, so he's calling them the Illuminati, and that doesn't sound like it's a good thing.
No, he refers to the Illuminati as the Brotherhood elite at the top of the pyramid of secret societies worldwide, mentioning that the protocols were not the work of Jewish people, but of Zionists, which, that is a can of worms that is too much to open for one podcast.
Yeah. Sounds like it.
Furthermore, he also references a book called Behold a Pale Horse, which came out in 1991, which is by a guy named Milton William Cooper, who has associations with the American militia movement, which was, I guess it's still around in some fashion today, but was a far-right group of white supremacists in the United States who are basically preparing for a race war in America. The probably most famous example of their work was the Oklahoma City bombing, Timothy McVeigh and everything like that.
Hey, that sounds familiar, Tristan. Why does that sound familiar?
Because that's my most recent video.
Yeah.
And chapter 15 of Milton Cooper's book has a full reproduction of the Protocols of the Elders of Zion. So you can see what he was reading, what his intake was.
A good balanced breakfast. Yikes.
Yeah, so despite the fact that he had been humiliated in that interview, he was still invited to be at the Green Party's annual conference in 1992. After Robots Rebellion, the Green Party made the pretty sensible decision to ban him from the party.
Good, obviously.
And then he wrote another book called And the Truth Shall Set You Free in 1995, which has a chapter where he asks some questions about the veracity of the Holocaust.
Hey, I'm just asking questions. I hate that. I hate that so much.
Yeah. In the book, he suggests that the Jews funded the Holocaust by quoting and seconding Gary Allen's claim that the Warburgs, part of the Rothschild Empire, helped finance Adolf Hitler.
You keep going. This all sounds great.
Yeah. He believes that schools indoctrinate children with the unchallenged version of these events, with the mainstream account of the Holocaust, thanks to their use of free copies of the film Schindler's List.
What?
So this book, he brought this book questioning the Holocaust to his publisher, who did not publish this book.
Oh, thank God.
His publishers had some issues, and they decided to very abruptly part ways with Mr. Icke.
Yeah, good call. Probably should have done that a little sooner. Could have done that a little sooner, but I guess good call on this one.
But of course,
oh no,
David Icke, being a person of constant reinvention, wouldn't let that set him back.
And a content creator.
You
always got to be hustling. Yeah.
So he had that hustle grind set, and if no one was going to publish this book, he was going to self-publish. So he borrowed 15,000 British pounds from one of his friends and started the Bridge of Love Publications.
Sorry, why did he have to borrow money? Didn't he already had 4 other books that sold, right? Like,
I don't know what his financial situation was, but he decided to start his own printing press. The printing press was, or the publishing company was called Bridge of Love Publications, but today it's called David Icke Books.
They made it more. I would have gone the opposite route and tried to distance myself from David Icke. But no.
Okay, I have a proposition for a radical reimagining of Knives Out.
Okay,
where it's like David Icke's children, because remember he like ran a publishing house.
Yeah. He's got a whole line of books. Yes,
but it's all like conspiracy theory stuff.
It's all and like no, it's the opposite of Knives Out, where like no one wants it. None of his kids want it. They're just like, does he have to leave this to me in the will? I do not want it.
For the first book he self-published was this book, And the Truth Will Set You Free, and every book he's published ever since. He has been trying to basically consolidate every conspiracy theory into one like Uber theory.
Trying to put it all together, a whole cinematic universe.
And oh boy, will you have a lot of fun with this. So since 1998, from 1998 to 2011, he has sold approximately 140,000 copies of his books, which has netted him about 2 million British pounds. So just showing that he's doing all right.
He's doing all right. Probably paid back his friend that he borrowed money from.
He's printed a bunch of copies of his book. One of his more popular books, called The Biggest Secret, which came out in 1999, has been reprinted 6 times. Another one of his books, called Alice in Wonderland and the World Trade Center Disaster.
What?
Which you could imagine what his take on 9/11 would be.
I'm sorry, what is Alice in Wonderland and the World Trade Center Disaster?
Yes.
I couldn't fathom what his take on 9/11 would be. I don't know what's happening here in this book title. Is it aliens, or is it just it was a secret conspiracy of people who did it? I don't know. Everything's so weird.
Well, this book, which very tastefully came out in 2002.
Oh my God.
Became a top 5 bestseller in South Africa for quite a long time. By 2006, he had a website that was getting 600,000 hits a week. And by 2011, his books have been translated into 11 languages.
So he's going places. People seem to like it.
Yep. And furthermore, he has gone on public lectures. He's done the lecture circuit around the world, which this is the thing that I find very strange. So not only does David Icke go and get paid to go to speaking engagements, but holy crap, do people get their money's worth if you're a fan. I just found a few examples. So one, at one point in 2008, he addressed people at Brixton Academy in London, where he talked to 2,500 people for 7 hours.
How does one person have so much to say for 7 hours?
He also, in 2012, went to Wembley Arena and spoke to 6,000 people for 11 hours.
11 hours. Did he take a break at all at any point?
I don't know.
I like to imagine he didn't. And it was
just
11 hours.
Filibustered his own thing.
Yeah. That's exactly right. He's like, everyone will listen to me. I won't stop talking until I've pitched you my new until I've pitched you my new grimdark Scooby-Doo series that I'm writing right now.
He's also been at places like the University of Oxford Debating Society. He has sold out talks in New York City, reportedly making £83,000 worth of ticket sales when he went to Melbourne for his tour for his book, Human Race, Get Off Your Knees, The Lion Sleeps No More.
These titles, where does he come up with these?
I don't know. It's kind of clickbaity.
Yeah, it is. I was going to say, it is very much, he's got that alpha grind set, that content creator, always got to get that click-through rate.
And he's always moving into new stuff. He launched an internet television station in November of 2013 called The People's Voice.
Okay.
Which he started with by crowdsourcing about 300,000 British pounds and worked for it as a volunteer all the way until March of 2014.
So
4 months.
From November 2013 to March 2014. What a long-lived idea.
Yeah, and then The People's Voice shut down later that year.
Shocker.
Then he also decided to run for parliament again.
How did that go?
He came came in 12th out of 26 candidates. He got a total of 110 votes, which was roughly 0.46% of the vote.
And it was the people, the people's voice that voted for. He is the people's voice.
Yeah.
According to 110 votes.
So that's David Icke's most of his career until like very modern day. We're going to get into his COVID stuff a little bit later. But next, I think in part 2, we're going to get into what David Icke actual beliefs, like what is in all these books? What does he actually believe?
Yeah. Like any good movie series, right? The first one's an origin story. The second one is just going to build upon
second one you fight Doc Octopus.
The second one you fight Dr. Octopus. And we're going to get to that in the next episode. Can you give us a little bit of a teaser? We're going to be talking about all of his different sorts of beliefs, all of David Icke's beliefs. Are they good beliefs, Tristan?
He doesn't believe in the moon.
All right. So make sure you subscribe to hear some good content. Until then, where can people find us?
So first of all, you can go to @PropsNotAliens on Twitter, where you can send all sorts of great... We're getting so much great fan art. Someone just sent us a Thought Fossil thinking cloud, or Thought Bubble, which came really great because it came right on the heels of your Thought Bubble video.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really cool.
Very good.
Oh man, we get so many great like pictures and fan art and stuff like that. And I'm always like name searching Props Not Aliens, because when it's, when I'm name searching myself, it's just hate. But when I'm searching Props Not Aliens, it's like memes, Ancient Aliens memes.
Yeah.
The person who drew the Fresno Nightcrawler as the with the most vibing award.
Yes. So good. Thank you so much for everyone who's been submitting fan art and also just saying really nice things and tweeting really nice stuff at us and leaving those good reviews on Apple Podcasts and all over. It really does help us out, and it just makes our day. We love making this show, and we love that you all like listening to it. And I hope you like this episode. But yeah, Tristan, where can people find you on the internet?
I have a YouTube channel called Step Back, where between taking care of one baby, I feel like I have infinite babies, but I only have the one. I try to put videos together about the past. I'm sort of veering into talking about American history and how it intersects with the present and all that kind of stuff. How about you, Scott? We've talked a little bit about Scooby-Doo, but what's your shtick? How have you polished your elevator pitch this week?
So I'm also a YouTuber. I make videos at Nerdsync, Nerdsync. I make video essays about nerdy things. I take something in pop culture that I'm interested in, comics, cartoons, other things, and I use it to teach about real world history and art. I'm doing a lot more of these days. I just released a whole video about thought balloons, what happened to thought balloons in comic books. So if you're interested in why we don't use thought balloons very much anymore, and you want to see a whole 35-minute video about it, a deep dive, go check it out. I also am in the process of making a Scooby-Doo video, another one. I have so many. People keep wanting me to talk about it. So nice. Go check it out. Nerdsync. I've got links in the description everywhere. And like we said, thank you so much to everyone who's been saying such nice things about us everywhere and sharing this show with your friends. It means a lot, because that's how we grow, is you sharing us around.
You go to propsnotaliens.com. You can get this show on whatever podcatcher of choice you wish to use, or you can go on YouTube, where the show is catching up to the modern timeline. And then once it's on, you'll be able to watch it alongside our regular content.
And I guess we'll see all of you listeners next time when we talk more about this wonderful, fantastic person that we're learning so much good things about, David Icke.
But until then, my friends, the truth is out there. Probably. Yep, we'll go with that take. We'll go with that.
That one's great. 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 That one's great.